No matter how any career looks from the outside, no combat athlete is truly invincible. The greatest shot a fighter has at immortality is becoming a legend, either through unique skill or style, an unbeaten record, or an outstanding personality that appeals to fans. Some fighters manage to find the perfect time to step away, retiring with dignity and cementing their place in fight history. Some have their career taken from them through a series of bad decisions, key losses, or bad behavior. And some just fade away into obscurity. Conor McGregor stands at that crossroads. Which way will his career go? According to MMA community speculation, the career of UFC superstar McGregor is on a knife's edge. After achieving a level of celebrity status and wealth previously unheard of for MMA fighters, it looked like McGregor was a special kind of talent. Someone who would live forever in combat sports history, thanks to his outlandish behavior combined with vicious skill in the cage. But in the last few years, McGregor's reputation has taken a nosedive, and his record reflects a tumultuous relationship with defeat. As soon as a fighter starts to appear to lose their edge, especially someone like McGregor who's been so popular, the rumors begin to rise among the wider MMA community. Is McGregor washed up? Is his career over? Does he realize the decision he has to make? Transform or be steamrolled by newer, younger, hungrier talent? Like, share, and subscribe to Ultimate Fighting Network as we explore the potential downfall of UFC titan Conor McGregor's career. For quite a few years, if you asked someone to think of a UFC fighter, they would think of Conor McGregor, whether they knew anything about MMA or not. He was absolutely everywhere in the public consciousness, in large part because whatever you may say about McGregor, he knows how to market himself. In the end, a fighter's career depends largely on how easy they are to sell to an audience. And in the beginning, McGregor was worth his weight in gold for the UFC and its sponsors. Bold, brash, and fiercely charming, McGregor fit nearly every common stereotype of an Irish superstar. He walked a fine line between contrasts: an aggressive and skilled fighter in the octagon, a trash-talking interview subject in bespoke suits and sunglasses, and a wealthy celebrity throwing his money around. He draped his quintessential Irish charisma over all this intensity, keeping the fans coming back and sponsors rolling in, eager to see what crazy thing he would do next. But for an athlete, celebrity status is a delicate structure built on a combination of image and talent. You can't have one without the other, yet both are ephemeral, and once lost, hard to regain. We'll discuss the potential shift in his skill and talent in the next section, but in recent years, McGregor's image has certainly changed. Arguably, the public opinion surrounding the Irish fighter reached a fever pitch in 2018. His recklessness both inside and outside the cage had made headlines for a year or two before that. But the highest profile brawls surrounding his 2018 championship match with Khabib Nurmagomedov gained worldwide attention and consternation. These included an attack on Khabib's bus in which McGregor threw a dolly and smashed a window, as well as an all-out brawl between their teams after his losing match against Khabib at UFC 229. These incidents resulted in suspension and a fine for McGregor. This whole situation can't be overstated for its effect on McGregor's public image. For most, the persona they envision around McGregor is based on this era of his career: violent, unpredictable, and vindictive. This would be bad enough if it weren't for the way McGregor's talents in the cage have made small but noticeable changes over time. The loss to Khabib was McGregor's second in the UFC. His first, to Nate Diaz in 2016, led to a rematch where he came back and managed a victory, though the fight did not go the distance and hinged on decision, not common for a vicious striker like McGregor. The following year, in 2017, McGregor faced off in a boxing match with the legendary Floyd Mayweather. To the surprise of very few, McGregor lost this fight also. 2 years later, he lost to Khabib, and within a few years of returning to the cage, he lost to Dustin Poirier, in what was considered an upset. Apologists for McGregor are quick to make excuses for why he may not have been in as fine a form for the Poirier fight. But many pundits have pointed out that there's a distinct possibility that not only was Poirier the superior fighter that night, fair and square, but McGregor's fighting style may have changed over time also. Analysts attribute this change to many causes. Some say that the boxing match with Mayweather changed McGregor's relationship with his hands, making him rely on his boxing techniques more than his feet and try to prove his worth as a boxer for future matches with high-profile fighters like Mayweather.
Then you got the Dustin Poirier fight. I think he's pretty serious about the Dustin Poirier fight, but I think at the same time, I think he's thinking bigger than what he was at the time. I think he's thinking about boxing Pacquiao and doing all these other things that he goes in there with, my hands are this fantastic and it's time to show you guys that Max Holloway's not the best boxer. He gets chopped at the leg, now it's hard to move. Yeah, it's hard to move, you can't. It's hard to defend a takedown, it's hard to grapple, it's hard to box, it's hard to do anything, you know. Me personally, I never thought an Irishman could get knocked out until then.
Others think the real reason is he's just getting older and losing his edge, losing his ferocity. Whatever the reason, an overview of McGregor's catalog of fights does indeed show a gradual change. He's less quick and forward, more flat-footed, and definitely leads with his hands. This hasn't been unsuccessful. In the Poirier fight, he did have some good moments. But ultimately, it's not as exciting or vibrant as the McGregor most remember. The real issue, and perhaps the most important one, is more psychological than physical. Maybe McGregor just isn't as hungry as he used to be, making it harder for him to recapture that magic he used to display in the cage. It's no secret that Conor McGregor is the current wealthiest MMA fighter in history, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Countless articles, videos, and interviews have detailed his belongings and expensive habits, his top-of-the-line cars and yachts, and clothes, and multiple houses. The late great Marvin Hagler may not have known how right he was when he made the statement quoted by every fight pundit and fan in situations like McGregor's. It's tough to get out of bed to do road work at 5 a.m. when you've been sleeping in silk pajamas. Hagler's famous quote might be a cliche at this point, but McGregor proves the concept perfectly. When he was a scrappy Irish fighter on welfare trying to prove himself, he learned and grew and took his losses on the chin. A hungry fighter is one who doesn't give up, who takes risks and reinvents himself, and keeps pushing to get the big break. Conor McGregor's charm and fiery personality were calculated to push him to the top, and they did. But now that he's there, what does he need to fight for?
When you get money, these things change. However, to keep performing, you need to get out of your comfort zone. You cannot stay in your comfort zone during a training camp because you're trying to recreate the same element that you will face for a fight. And when you're going to fight, you won't be in your comfort zone. So it is imperative that Conor, if you want to get back on the road of success, he need to get out of his comfort zone. He need not to be the boss of his training camp. He need his coaches to tell him, like, now you're going to spar this guy, you're going to go there, do this. Even if it doesn't please him, he need to go through that. Because if you stay in your comfort zone, the only thing that can happen is you will go down. You need to do that.
It has also been pointed out that McGregor is getting older and more mature, and his public image has significantly softened. He is putting more money into charity than ever before, and he has a growing family to think of. A fighter can certainly be a family man and a beast at the same time. In fact, many are. But at some point, the controversies and public relations issues need to be carefully examined in light of the life a fighter wants to build for himself and his family. So, does this mean that Conor McGregor's career as an MMA fighter and a contender is well and truly over? Nothing is set in stone, of course. It's not impossible for a fighter like McGregor to regain his hunger, to come back from a dry spell and remember the passion that made him such a ferocious opponent. Anything is possible. But that recovery needs to happen fast. The likelihood is that wealth, fame, and comfort has made McGregor less willing to take risks. And that can be a slow death for a combat athlete's career. Barring a resurgence in his fighting skill, if he can remake himself as an analyst, businessman, or some other incarnation, we may continue to see him in and around the fighting business for years to come. But if he can't find the reason to continue and hold tight to it, no matter how much fans and pundits want him to persevere, Conor McGregor may fade into a footnote in MMA history. Time will tell. What do you think? Is Conor McGregor's career over? Comment below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching the Ultimate Fighting Network.